Hey, hi guys, welcome back. All right, so this is going to be a bonus general message. These are the ones that I always start out with some anecdote, something real that happens. Before I jump in, though, anybody out there, can you tell me how's the audio on this? I was a little bit concerned. It looks like there's been some reset on all the settings. This happens from time to time. It's not necessarily on my end, but it's when there's upgrades and updates on equipment and all kinds of tech stuff. And then sometimes it requires me to select different settings, and I don't know that until I've already begun. So please let me know if it sounds like I'm at the bottom of a well or if it sounds like my normal sound should. Um, so with these bonus general messages, I usually start these ones out with some anecdote, something pertaining to my dog. And Mr. Puppy today has just been particularly that's the sound he makes when he needs to convey something to me. And I always feel like he wants so badly to be understood. And although I've become quite fluent in dog language and puppy signals, there's still things that I don't fully understand that he's trying to convey to me. So I'm going to begin the storyline with that in mind. Perhaps we have a character who wants so badly to just be understood, and understanding is especially if someone says, I God, I wish I could say the things and then have someone understand what I mean when I say them. Maybe they struggle with communication, maybe they struggle with the right vocabulary, maybe there's a language barrier. That frustration, though, of someone misinterpreting what they say, or they assume everyone will misinterpret what they say, seems to be posing that frustration. So that's how I'm going to begin this storyline. Hi, everyone. Lalu, great to see you. Anne Marie, Jasmine, Angel, and Laura Lindsay. Mwah, thanks for being here. Happy New Year. Okay, so Three of Pentacles. We start out, somebody would like to be understood. They want their words to be heard and actually, I'll say, digested them in the manner in which they intended them to be, because they want to work together with someone. They want to cooperate. And this character, whomever we're talking about, might be, asking like for the angels or their guides, like, please tell me how to say things so that there's no room for misinterpretation. You notice how we're building a flower out of brick. It's like someone is trying to find the correct style of communication that won't leave room for misinterpretation and 50 million different ways that someone could hear what they just said or misread what they just wrote, because they want so badly to be able to work with this person. Why do they want to work with this person? Why is this so important to them? Oh, they want to return to this person. We've got an Eight of Cups in the reverse. We've got a King of Wands in the reverse. And if at one point in time whatever they said or they did gave off the impression that they were all about themselves, they were someone that was not genuine, they were someone that was, look, a King of Wands in the reverse is a straight up jerk. I'm sorry to say it, but they come across as super selfish. It's all about them. It's self-serving. It's rude. It's a character who would be unconcerned with the feelings of others. It's all about what they want. It's all about their ego. It's about how they're seen, and that's the only thing on their mind. So if we have a character who wants so badly to return to someone, but that someone that they want to return to sees them as a jerk, I can see why it's like the frustration of not being able to explain themselves, because they've already got something stacked against them, right? They already have someone that they want to return to who thinks that they're a jerk. So how are they going to undo that, and how are they going to express things, and how are they going to what is it that they want to express? Hold on, let's dig in, shall we? We have got the Nine of Wands and the Star. Now they both came out mostly upright, but just a little bit at a tilted angle. What is it that they want to express? How much this matters to them, how long they've been thinking about this, and not to give a sob story perhaps, but if this lead character wants so badly to give an explanation or to express themselves and kind of describe continual layers of mistakes that they've made, particularly in matters of the heart. We see the rose here, and it always seems like that rose they can't ever seem to reach out and grab a hold of. This is a wounded warrior, but you notice how their clothing is completely ripped up by all these thorns. It's almost like they're saying, I mess it up every time. Every single time I mess something up in love, I don't feel like I can ever be successful in love. I feel like even every time I reach for something, somehow it just keeps cutting me. Maybe that's partially why they behaved like this. Maybe that's partially why, you know, like, let's put it in context of, if any animal feels threatened, what do? They use their defense tactics, right? And then they can be, you know, wrongfully accused of being some hostile or aggressive animal, when in fact it's like, no, maybe they had a really bad past, and now they do come across as jerks sometimes, but it's a defense mechanism. It's not their natural state, is that they've been wounded and wounded and wounded and wounded, and at some point now all they know is like, it's a battlefield and I always got to protect myself. If this is one of the things that they're trying to express, it's like, this is a character who's actually really weary and fatigued of their own battlefield of their life and what they've been through. But again, to explain that could kind of start sounding like they're boo-hooing their own story, like, you don't know what I've been through, blah, blah, blah. And I think could contribute to why they're like, how do I express something so that I'm explaining it without boo-hooing? How do I not come across as like, I'm dry begging, or, wanting someone to, give me sympathy? Because remember, whoever they want to speak to already thinks that they're a jerk. So probably anything that they say is not going to be heard with a lot of compassion, and they're aware of this. But their motive is to try to explain kind of something that they've experienced time and again and again and again. Because this is a lot of battles. And it's with the of trying to heal. The star card is about healing things, but it also could be to try to explain how incredibly distant they feel, or how it's one of those things that it also kind of feels like this person is trying to convey a tremendous amount of respect. They may be wanting very much to express that the individual that they want to talk to, that they want to return to, is someone that is their wish come true, their wish fulfillment, the one thing they thought they could finally, have success with this person. There is a song by the Proclaimers. I think it's called Jean. And in it, they say, you let me get lucky with you. And it's, it's like they finally got lucky in love after so many disappointments and so many people that they just didn't connect with. And I kind of feel like that is the underlying message on this. Our character here wants to convey that, like, you're the one person I could see having success with. And even though I messed this one up too, and I know you think I'm a jerk, but you're the one rose that's still on this vine for me. You're the one that, even though I still can't reach you, even though you're way out there, and the star, this could be a long distance connection as well, where there's huge distance and huge time that has elapsed. This is like, this character really wants this person for all the right reasons, and they're trying to figure out how to explain themselves to this individual while simultaneously explaining how important this person is to them that they want to return to, without sounding like they're telling a sob story. Like, how do they do all this? So let's help this character. How do they do this, right? Because first off, for any communication to occur, both characters, one has to be willing to communicate, the other has to be willing to listen. So that's one thing that is out of their control. But let's go to the universe and say, universe, what's going to help this character in their, because they have such a strong desire to be understood. Ace of Swords. The universe says, character, don't go round and round the mountain. Don't try to make it flowery. Spit it out. Say the raw truth, even if it's not, perfect. Like, boil it down to the simplest truth. And sometimes truths are the simplest, maybe that's just it. I have not had luck in relationships because I haven't known how to do them properly. I've had one disaster after another. Sometimes I messed them up. Sometimes I went after the wrong people. Whatever the reason, I can see success with you. You're the person I want. I mean, that's simple as it gets. Maybe it's not very floral, and it's not them, you know, trying to pound out the right words and then erase them and then change it with just one word or reconstruct a sentence so that it reads like poetry. The universe is like, it doesn't have to be poetry, it just has to be true. Okay, that's, I mean, that's simple, but I would say probably the best message ever, right? It doesn't have to be floral. And it's funny how we say it doesn't have to be floral because they're trying to build a flower here. They're talking about a flower, about romance. Maybe that's just it. This character is trying so hard to present in this really sensitive way when sensitivity and gentleness is awesome. But you know what? Sometimes it's too nuanced. Like, okay, the great thing about moms is that moms can be really supportive and really kind of really loving, and they can also be like, or she can give a mother's love or a mother's shove. And let me tell you, her shoves can shove you right out the door and halfway down into the next, town. When she'll say something that is like, wow, that was the meanest thing I've ever heard you say. And yet, usually it's probably the thing I needed to hear. And it's not said with meanness, right? There are raw truths, and sometimes the only way to get to a raw truth is to drop all of the sensitivities and the, don't handle somebody with kid gloves and just say it like it is. Because with actual true raw information, now we can move forward with the confidence that here are the facts. It's not clouded in pretty, sweet smelling, fluffy things. It's not dolled up. It's not dressed up. And to right now, I think if what they're trying to do is get a chance to return to someone who they care about a lot, and this person has a poor opinion of them, for them to get down to the facts, to reestablish trust, maybe, they've got to say something real. That's the bottom line. It's like, say something real, say something you mean. That may be the single most important thing to regain someone's trust that thinks that they're a jerk. Now, the other thing the universe says is lay down the burdens. This is the message to the individual who is thinking so hard about how can I communicate and be understood by this person that I want to return to who has a poor opinion of me. And the universe says to this character, not only do you need to quit worrying about saying it really flowery and find the perfect, 72-page life story, just say the real truth. And really the real truth could be, I love you. And it's all effed up, but I love you. Real and true. I love you like no other. I mean, maybe that's the bottom line. The other message for this character is to let go of whatever their burdens are. Fear, guilt, shame, remorse, especially old patterns that came from long time ago. If one of the struggles that they have endured in their life of, conveying who they are and trying to be loving and maybe they were trying too hard to fit into like a pre-programmed role that was assigned to them by family, and they've got to be okay. I don't know how you do this, but they've got to be okay breaking away from that and saying, look, I've made mistakes. Yes, everybody has, but I'm going to talk to this person that I love, this person that I want to be with more than anything, and forget all of the hangdog, man, I've messed this up. I'm coming in, super like, well, there's all these reasons that I messed up. They kind of got to get over that part too and just own it. Yeah, it sucks. I made a billion mistakes, but you are the one that I want. I got to let go of all kinds of old programming, and I got to just get beyond the past. And I just want to convey the truth. The truth is, I want this. The truth is, I do love you. I feel like this character is just needing to get beyond overthinking, is what this says. Even though, I mean, to their credit, they've thought a lot about this, right? They've really, the only thing is they're thinking so much about how to convey and be understood by someone else. But all of their best efforts at being understood by someone else aren't going to work if that someone doesn't want to hear anything from them. So now let's ask about this person, the person that they most want to find a way. And it's weird because it's like they're trying to put together their argument like they're a lawyer who has to have an airtight case, who has to have an answer for everything. And I think that's really bogging them down because now it becomes like a persuasive argument instead of just here's the reality. And I don't know, to me, it seems like if someone already thinks that they're a jerk, persuasive arguments that are well thought out might come across as false, even though they're not. This could lead to more confusion, is what this is kind of suggesting to me for this fictional story. Please remember, these are fictional stories about fictional characters. I do not tell you what's true or how it's going to go or what needs to happen. I'm not here to tell anybody what's right or wrong. We just try to observe the characters and figure out what are the characters working on and working through. I don't feel like this is the right deck for the person that they want so much to return to. Let me choose a different deck. For the person that they want to communicate with, let's go this one. Tell me about them. The Blasted Tower. Okay, so yeah, it ended. We could have an Aries here. By the way, our first character has shown up as a King of Wands in the reverse, so possibly Leo, Sag, Aries. And then we did have Aquarius energy here. But my impression is we have a lot of fire energy for both because this is the major arcana for Aries. I'm wondering if the two of them were explosive together. The two of them had huge passion and the two of them had huge upset, because the other character, we notice she's here in this white wedding dress almost and falling from this hope. I don't feel like these two were married. I feel like these two wanted to be married. She certainly imagined being married to them, which is maybe why if something went belly up, it was such a disaster, right? Because there were so many hopes pinned on this. There was so much, assumption that this is going to be the white wedding dream. This is going to be the perfect. And I use that more as like a metaphor. What's the perfect white wedding dream? It's that, it's going to be ideal and we're going to have this loving connection. And it's going to be just like in a movie where it's just this romance and my partner never lets me down. And that can put really unrealistic expectations on stuff. So then if something goes wrong, we don't just go, oh, well, that's a facet of their character. I'll decide if I can live with that, or I'll get to know them better and we'll just kind of work through stuff. And some things we accept and other things we modify. And some things we got to put up boundaries with. Instead, it was like, oh my God, it's over. That's it. It's over. It feels like it was like, one of those major collapses. And in all fairness, there might have been a reason for a major collapse, right? Maybe there was something that was like, absolutely no, not tolerating that. Four of Cups in the reverse. Okay, so for this character, I'm going to say she only because we see a feminine in a wedding dress, but it could be masculines, could be feminines, doesn't matter. I don't read for genders in my storytelling. But she's of the opinion it's over, and I'm not going to have any illusions about it. I'm not going to sit here and cry over it. I was mistaken in hanging my hopes on this person. They're not who they seem to be, and so it's over. Six of Swords, and I am leaving, and I am moving on, and I won't carry this sorrow around with me, and I won't feel bad that, oh, I miss them. Nope, can't do it. Got to just accept it for what it is. It's over. So in her eyes, whatever happened was she's been rebuilding her life elsewhere. Whatever happened in her eyes was like an absolute non-negotiable. It's like somebody stepped across a boundary that it's like, if I can put up with a lot, but if somebody does that, it's absolutely flat out no. Now, keep in mind, people's non-negotiables can be like, I'm sorry, I just can't handle somebody who, drinks milk out of the carton. I mean, that's a pretty petty non-negotiable. I'm sorry, I'm passing judgment on that, but I just can't imagine that would be a deal breaker unless there was something else much bigger underneath it and that was just like the patsy for what the real problem was. So I'm going to say it's probably a real deal breaker. Maybe it was untruthfulness. Maybe it was however we'll ask in just a minute, how do they see this person? This character knows that they have been seen as a jerk, someone who is all about themselves. And maybe that's how she views them too. I don't know yet. We'll look. But she moved on with her life. What's ironic is as she went to work like a blacksmith over here, it feels as if they've been watching, and that was part of their work also. They've been kind of watching how she does things, maybe learning more about her, and in turn learning more about like this could be why she's even more of the star in their eyes. The more they've observed her, the more they've paid attention to her, the more sometimes, getting to know one another, not feeling threatened, um, comes with, like actually understanding someone's motives. And I'm wondering, because this feels like I said at the beginning, it was, or a little while ago anyway, if these two were explosive together, we've got a lot of fire energy. Maybe they fell crazy passionately in love before knowing one another. And then the smallest thing became the end of the world because they didn't really have a comfort zone yet, because they didn't really understand what makes one another tick. They didn't understand how one or the other operates. So now something that sounded like, like, oh my God, a criticism that goes straight to the heart is not that way at all. Maybe it's just the manner of, somebody thinks out loud and vocalizes stuff and it wasn't directed at them at all, but they took, insult from whatever the character said. And now pretty soon they're like, oh, well, you know what? You just insulted me. I'm going to be a total jerk to you. And it's like, what? Why are you being a jerk? I didn't say that to you. The misunderstanding and is really common when two people haven't built a comfort zone and they don't understand what makes one another tick. So interestingly enough, she says, oh, they crossed a line. It was a deal breaker. It's over. It's done. I had to move on. But ironically, even though she's kind of stopped thinking about them, they've continued to observe her somehow as and it's funny how she's a blacksmith over here. To me, this looks like she's been working on something. Okay, to be a blacksmith means we are literally smelting metals together and then, pounding away and ironing stuff out. So I feel like she's been working really, really hard, maybe to heal her own heart. Maybe she's been building herself a suit of armor. I don't know what she's been doing, but it's hard work. And maybe it's self-development. Somehow they've been able to observe this. And interestingly enough, observing her was part of their work also. Maybe this is the first time they've ever stopped thinking about how they're misunderstood and started realizing they've misunderstood other people. Maybe she's the first person they've ever like watched or contemplated or kept thinking about, instead of assuming again and again that, oh, it doesn't work, I always get it wrong, relationships fail. It's almost like they've never taken the time to really understand another person. And now that they have, it's like, oh my God, I can see why she thought I was a jerk. I understand myself better now because I've gotten to understand her better. It's just funny how this has all been happening without communication. I think she's oblivious to this part. She, he, whomever. But now let's go ahead and ask that question. How does she actually see them? How does she see this King of Wands in the reverse? They think she sees him as a jerk. Oof, those cards came out fast. 8 of Cups. Sideways, we got the 7 of Cups, and we've got the 6 of Cups. So it's interesting because she says there's somebody that doesn't want to be in any kind of a relationship. They will leave me high and dry every time. All they do is turn around and walk. Could they have been a soulmate? Yeah, they probably were. Do I understand why I even met them? No. Do they understand what a soulmate is? Probably not, because they constantly walk away and leave me high and dry. It's it's the King of Wands show. That's all it is. They don't know how to be a partner, and I don't know why they don't know how to be a partner. And I'm done thinking about it because I can't work with somebody who just walks away and they only see things their way and they will not compromise, and they're always just turning their back. There's that awesome song by Emmylou Harris where she says, the shoulder I've been leaning on is the coldest place I've ever known. What is the song? 3 minutes of sin, everything I could have been to you. I don't know, something about your last chance, Texaco. Sorry. I have to get to the title. I can't think of it right now. I'm sorry. I was that close and I started merging songs. Anyway, great lyricist, great performer, great song. This is kind of the way this whoever the feminine is saw them. I can't work with someone who turns their back on me. And maybe they need to go be single and solo and alone. Maybe that's really what they want, is to be single, solo, and alone. The only thing is she realizes this was an important connection, and she believes that they knew it too, which is maybe why that turning the back and walking off, storming out to go do their own thing was particularly like, well, that's over. You can't hold on to somebody who wants to go. And if that's why she said, I don't hang my hopes on people that I can't trust to be beside me, that don't want to cooperate. She's confused about them though, but she also feels like they're confused. There was definitely something sacred and something important about this connection, but either she goes, I know that they knew it because there must have been some kind of a moment where there was a real bond here. I mean, for her to be in a wedding dress and have that fall, I think that's probably why she moved on, because the devastation of having it, such high hopes, and then to have it so confusing, and then to have this person just prove to be someone who just says, nope, I just walk away. I can see why she's like, wow, I don't think I can handle the abandonment especially of something that I thought was really important. Okay, but hold on. Universe, let's talk to her for a minute. Oh, this is going to be one of those long stories, guys. Okay, Emperor, Justice, Prince of Swords. All right. So don't get mad at me. I can only tell the story that I see. And the universe is like my mom giving the mother's shove right now, not the mother's love. And that's why we turn to the universe to get some blunt messages. And I'm not saying this is right or wrong. I'm just saying this is the message we got for her. We see that she was pretty devastated, right? We see that. We see she had valid reasons for saying no, thank you. But the universe counters with, okay, you wanted them to be an emperor. Not 100% fair to assume that someone is already going to be your perfect match. And that if they're not, then it's like, screw them. Because in truth, growth is happening all the time. And she might have expected them to be perfect before getting to know them. So she missed out on some points of getting to know aspects of them as well. She wanted to rush things a little bit, and that might not have been 100% fair, right? So she passed judgment also, which, how do you not when somebody turns around and walks away? But perhaps the question would have been, what made them turn around and walk away? The Eight of Cups is a card of going out on a spiritual journey. She may have said, oh, they just turn their back and they just do their own thing. But there might have been more information here for her to acknowledge, which is they weren't ready to be an emperor. So they can't pretend to be who she wants them to. They weren't ready for marriage. They weren't ready. She was in the wedding dress already. But if they truly were not that person and they'd shown every sign of it, then why was she pinning her hopes on that being, wedding dress material when perhaps they were nowhere close to that? Maybe they were still a knight. Maybe they were hoping to become that. But if they walked away, maybe it was because they had to go follow some spiritual journey and to be, and I'm not saying that she was mad at them or thinks horribly of them. They think that she thinks that they're a jerk. She just says they abandoned, they turned and walked away. But what they did do with this card is they walked away to work on themselves, to have that spiritual journey, to do the thing that they need to do for themselves. And so on one hand, the universe is like, well, it's a little bit, it's not fairly looking at who are they. I know we wanted them to be the emperor, but you can't hurry up someone's development. So she kind of put them on a pedestal and said, they're my everything. They're everything I want. And then, oh my God, no, they're not. Look at this. They're not even ready to be in this amazing connection yet. And the universe is like, yeah, they weren't. You were rushing things a little bit. Okay, fair enough. We got to be fair. We got to let the universe point out the things just like we let the universe point out things for the other character, right? This is not to be mean. This is to try to bring up the different perspectives, right? Because she was devastated and the universe is kind of saying, but darling, take a little responsibility for your devastation here. Now, maybe they said, I'm the emperor, blah, 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 blah. And that would be a little different story, right? If they make all these big promises that they can't follow through on. But the devastation of they're not the emperor, she might have jumped to that conclusion that they were already everything she ever dreamed of. And so she's kind of set herself up for the illusion of everything it should be. And then it falls short, because when we assume everything's going to be perfection, it's always going to fall short because nothing is perfect, right? So it might have been better for her to start with a little lower bar and be like, well, I like this and that about him. There's a lot I don't know, but we'll just kind of step by step see how we go. This kind of says it began like fire, and it began with passion, and it began where we started with the highest level of expectation, and it can only go down from there. So I think that that's a fair thing. I think it's a fair thing to look at. All right, let's see. Six of Swords. But the universe does applaud her for moving on from this, because in this case, it says that was the right choice. Moving on and letting her own hurt, pain, and frustration become calm, giving them the space to do whatever they need to do, and really just turning her attention to her own healing, her own meditation, her own growth, which is what she's been doing. Ironically, that's what they've been doing too. So where does that leave things at this point? Because remember, we began with somebody who wants so badly to be understood by her. Where does that leave things? Because the universe has said, don't overthink things. If you want to talk to her, just speak the truth. Just go. The Fool, taking that leap of faith. Awesome. Awesome. That's so good. This is so, we said before, like, they can talk till they're blue in the face, but if she doesn't want to hear anything, she's not going to. So it doesn't matter how many hours they spend, putting together some, manifesto. So they may as well just distill it down to the truth and present with that. But if she doesn't want to hear, she won't. But we've seen her in a really calm space, which is awesome, because that's when someone is most, like if you approach somebody when they're in this state of peace and meditation and you go, excuse me, can I say one thing? Probably they're peaceful enough. I mean, all their swords are, daggers are stuck in the ground. They don't have daggers upright. They're not trying to defend themselves. They're not hostile. They're in a really peaceful place. This is a great time for them to reach out. 8 of Coins, 5 of Wands, for them to actually say, I've been working on a lot of things. I've been working on a ton of different pieces of myself, and thinking about things a lot. That's a great truthful statement. They have not stopped thinking about her or them or the situation. They've been analyzing things. They've been really putting in effort because this matters a lot to them. If that's how they're opening up this conversation, taking this leap of faith to communicate, I feel like that might be their best opening statement. Ace of Swords, Hanged Man. Even if this has taken a lot of time, it is to their credit that they have been thinking about things. The Hanged Man is delays, but it's delays for perspective change. And they have had some real truths that have come to the forefront of their mind. And probably she has too. In this time, this is not one of those stories where it's like, well, they've taken too long, that ship has sailed. This is not a story of, well, they didn't care, so they never thought about this. This is kind of like all they've been doing is thinking about things. And as has she. So we've got a lot of like real growth here, because actually, we started out with fire and explosions of passion and devastation in this and walking away. But at no point has this been some storyline that did not profoundly impact both characters. It's done exactly that. And with that profound impact, anything that matters stays in our mind, right? Stays etched across our heart. And some people stay more than others, I think, anyway. I know that's true for me. And it's funny how sometimes it's the people we barely had any time with that stay for the rest of our lives. They'll be at the forefront. And sometimes people we spent the least amount of time with are the ones that we remember the most, or we learn the most with, or we always still carry like the question mark of what was I to learn from this? The amount of time that they have had this situation at the forefront of their mind, it has transformed them more than almost any other situation, because it wasn't just about romance and it wasn't just about passion. It's kind of like looking at the bigger scheme of life, which we saw, which is why they've been working so hard to try to figure out, how do I explain this? Like, I've been on a battlefield most of my life. How do I explain that this one is different? My feelings for you are different, even though this has been a mess too. This is different. This has changed something in me. Profound and meaningful things do change us, but sometimes they change us slowly, as it kind of like, maybe this changes their DNA, maybe this assimilates into their mindset, maybe this changes the way they see themselves and life, and it has this big ripple effect that's kind of like reconfiguring pieces of their mind, making them understand themselves better, making them understand her better, making them understand aspects of life. But I think she had the same thing happen for her in a different way, perhaps. At this point, it looks like a really good time that these two could have a very meaningful conversation. It is not about the romance, though. It's interesting. The moon and the Four of Cups, there's still so much love here. And the moon is what's hidden, but obviously, look at how huge this moon is. The only way that the moon is hidden is if we refuse to see it, right? Which is, literally covering one's eyes. I feel like so much subconscious work has been done. And it's been done, and it's kind of like a catch-22, because this kind of work had to be done at that subconscious level. And it's like, but I have so many regrets, but those regrets are what made both characters keep thinking about things and doing that subconscious sense of awareness. They regret the fact that, why did we have to blow this one up when I really wanted this one? I think both people really wanted this. But what's ironic about it is they had to meet the thing that they really wanted if they were ever going to be able to make this growth and this change happen. This tree of love has been growing right behind them while they've been sitting here meditating. So in all honesty, this is one of those stories that says sometimes even the blow-ups and the seemingly like devastating situations can have the most profoundly beautiful impacts and can help us grow the most, and can actually be the thing that triggers two people to become their best selves. And at this point, I just feel like these two can have a really meaningful conversation and connection. Can they have romance again? I would say a resounding yes, and a genuine, like, sincere romance, the kind where it's a real soul connection, the kind where they've gone through something together yet apart that has been so meaningful. I think that their bond is like, they've reached a whole new level of what intimacy really is, to really connect with another person, to really be able to say, I've gone through so much change because I met you. I love the fact that this is not about, hot and heavy kisses and romances. It's more about what real connection is built on, and what real progress is, and what, like, the power of love can actually do to help people expand and grow. I think these two have a very beautiful bond that is possibly going to bring them back into a union permanently. Anyway, I'm going to leave that one there. I absolutely loved this one. You guys, thank you so much for hanging out. San Juanita, thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. You are so kind, so generous. I appreciate it. You guys, thanks, everybody. Don Divine, great song. How Deep Is Your Love? Is that Bee Gees? I love Bee Gees. You guys, thanks again for being here. All right, we're going to do some zodiacs today, and then I'll do more tonight. Just so you know, I'll kind of be breaking up my day because I've got work in the middle. But thanks for hanging out with me, everybody. Lots of love. Bye. Thanks for giving it a thumbs up and subscribing if you do enjoy the channel. Bye.